The important thing to remember about the prodigal son is a gunshot pierced the air, as loud as though fired from just outside. Shouts rang out. David jerked to his feet, but before anyone could move, the door burst open and a man raced inside the church. "Constable!" he hollered, though the man he sought stood within feet of him and stuck out like a sore thumb with the brightness of his coat. "Arthur's drunk again. Near took off Matt's arm. We're needing the doc, too." As though that was explanation enough, David, along with half the congregation on his heels, flowed from the church like tomato ketchup from the bottom of a jar. Men stepped over and around their families, and women called for their older children to remain behind. Some heeded, while others scampered off with the crowd. What a disaster! A full 5 minutes passed before the room was quiet enough for Jonathan to hear himself think, but the attention of his diminished flock ping-ponged from him to the disruption on the street. "I hope that is not a regular event on the Sabbath," Jonathan finally managed, with a weak chuckle. He looked over the few who remained, which did not include the woman with the pretty eyes, and felt his chest deflate. What was the point of trying to continue his sermon? Instead of hunting down the one, he was left trying to gather back the 25 to 30. And that didn't count those who were truly lost and hadn't made it into the front door to begin with. Was he up for such a task? For today, let's give those stories some thought. And give the devil his due. How can we extend fellowship and the hand of help to those who are astray? I hope you invite your neighbors to the picnic this afternoon. Hopefully, then he could make a better impression on the community. Unfortunately, he saw no recourse but to forfeit this round to his brother. The chipping paint fell away under the touch of her fingertips as she pressed against the side of the church. Voices faded toward the back of the building where an open field and playground buzzed with activity. April Harvey's stomach churned. Maybe she should simply spend her afternoon alone at the top of the grain elevator, as she often did when not harvest time, or at home. The small framed house, little more than a shack for the care given its construction, would be quiet for the foreseeable future, what with Pa in jail. April's face grew hot as she recalled the look on the new pastor's face. He'd turned quite red with his exasperation, poor man. All the more reason she should stay away from this gathering. April sighed. She really shouldn't fault folks for their opinions of her or the way they looked her way, accusation in their eyes. She had grown used to them believing she was somehow responsible for her Pa's actions. And perhaps she was, in some way. Pastor Jensen seemed to think so, always handing out suggestions on what more she could do to help Pa. She'd failed him, in more ways than most folks knew. "Miss Harvey, what are you doing to the paint?" April jerked to where Miss Mattie stood with raised brows and felt a trickle of relief that someone else hadn't found her. "Just wondering how much longer folks will pretend the church only has a front." The elderly woman laughed. "When Mr. Matkin volunteered enough paint to freshen up the church, I guess he decided only what is seen counts." April gave a rueful smile. "Reminds me of what it says in the Bible about painted sepulchres." Miss Mattie's mouth dropped open. "Oh, child! What an unkind comparison." Then her expression softened, and she winked. "Though I suppose sometimes it seems as though some put on a perfect display while not truly changing who they are on the inside." It was April's turn to grimace. Did that apply to her as well? She tried so hard to pretend, to place a smile on her face when around others, while anger and fear reigned within. The Bible spoke strongly against both.